understanding what was going on. And so bring the middle class down some, not too far, because you got to have them buying your goods and services, but scare them, put them deep into debt. When you're deep in debt, you don't rebel because you don't want to lose your house. You don't want to lose the food on your table to serve your family. So you basically become a eunuch. And they like that. That's what's going on today, Alex, around the world.
In closing, I've been asking the questions here. I'd like you to spend a few minutes on any topics or points that you think are really central to understanding the big picture here. And I'd also like you to look into your crystal ball if you can and describe where you see this going. We agree, giant awakening, new renaissance, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, but the empire is going to strike back, to continue with the Star Wars analogy. So any other points that you think are important, and then again, elaborate on where you see things going.
Well, I think we have to all understand, each of us, that we have tremendous power, that these corporations only survive and thrive because we buy their goods and services. And we've sent this message to them that we want cheap T-shirts. And if that means being made by slaves in sweatshops in Indonesia, we'll just look the other way. We want cheap petroleum for our cars. If that means destroying rainforests, we'll just look the other way. We've got to now send a new message. We've got to tell these corporations that we expect them to serve the public interest, which is something they were mandated to do during the first 100 years that the United States was a country. That changed in the late 1800s when the Supreme Court had a turnaround. But we need to send this message out again, that these corporations are there to serve our interests, and we'll only buy from corporations that do that. And to recognize the power we have. We got rid of apartheid in South Africa when I was in college by boycotting corporations that supported it. We got them to open their doors wider to women and minorities and get rid of trans fats. We have tremendous power. The marketplace is democratic if we choose to make it such. I would like to suggest that probably the vote that we make each time we buy something or choose not to is more important than the vote we make every 2 years when we go to the polls. So we, the people, need to understand that we have to take responsibility here, and we can foment a revolution. We don't have to pick up guns. We just have to let these corporations know that we're only going to vote for the ones that are committed to making a better world for us, our children and grandchildren, those that are committed to being good public servants, to serving us.
Well, a microcosm of that is you couldn't find organic food 10, 15 years ago on most store shelves. Now it's displacing a lot of the garbage. Or you see examples of people not wanting bisphenol A lined plastic goods, and now it's being pulled out of many of the products. I mean, we see the examples of the fact that we do vote with our pocketbook. People should support alternative media, authors, TV shows, websites, and they should boycott, the big corporate media when it engages in the type of propaganda it has. And I think what you're saying, John, in closing is look in the mirror. It's easy to make some judgment about a big, corrupt Fortune 100 that we know is doing horrible things, but it's our empowerment, it's our buying its goods and going along with it that is literally basically buying war bonds to fund its operation. And so at the end of the day, we're being hypocrites when we sit here on a high horse criticizing these global corporatists because it really is us who've allowed this to happen.
Absolutely, Alex. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And we also, we really need to insist that these corporations create a new economy. Right now, the economy of the United States is totally dependent on the military. I'm shocked by how people talk about balancing the budget, but there's no way we can balance the budget until we cut back the military budget, which is huge. And most of that just goes to creating things that get destroyed and destroy other people and make enemies for us around the world.
Well, now
they need to turn that around. There's so many opportunities. I speak a lot at MBA programs, and I encourage these young people coming up into the business world to form their own companies. We all know alternative energy is important, but what about creating new technologies for helping starving people in Africa grow food more efficiently, store it, and distribute it? Like you said, coming in the organic foods business has been a huge change in 10 years. What about creating companies that will clean up the terrible pollution that is all over our planet, in the earth, and the air, and the water? We really need to create a new economy that's not based on the military, and also not based on just selling each other trinkets, which we're also very good at, or selling each other derivatives and pieces of paper that lawyers and bankers trade around and don't create any jobs or help anybody in any way. We really need to take a good look at that. And you and I and all of your listeners are the people that can make that happen. We just have to become conscious and take positive action.
And we've got to watch out for counterfeits, because everything you've said makes total sense. We need to develop a new economy, not a war economy where we now see the military-industrial complex more and more taking over domestic operations, spying on the people. We have to realize this military-industrial complex does not serve our sovereignty or our liberty. It serves this global corporate system, and we pay for it. But then so many times in the IMF and World Bank, they'll use environmental excuses to put a new yoke of tyranny on the third world, instead of really trying to empower them. And it's a nuanced issue. John Perkins, I really appreciate you spending time with us. Just 1 minute on where you see this clash of ideas going, though.
Well, I'm very hopeful that we're going to win. We, the people, we're going to turn this thing around. And I see evidence of that in what's going on in South America. Huge revolution down there, democratic, market-based revolution. We're seeing it in the Middle East. We're seeing it in China. We're seeing it in Asia. We're seeing it in Europe. We're beginning to see it in the United States. I'm very hopeful. We don't know what ultimately will happen, but each one of us has to get involved and push harder for this. And that's how it will happen. So I don't know the outcome, but I'm very hopeful that we, the people, are rising to a new level of consciousness, and we will get there. And incidentally, Alex, I'd really encourage people to subscribe to my newsletter at johnperkins.org. Visit me on Facebook, Twitter, economic_hitman, and keep this conversation going, because I really like to talk with your audience on a continuing basis.
Absolutely. Well, this is the shorter format InfoWars Nightly News, but I would like to invite you to come back on the full radio show in the near future. But I know you're a very busy man. John Perkins, God bless you.
Thank you, Alex. I'd love to join you again. Keep up your good work.
You too, my friend. Well, that's it for tonight's edition of InfoWars Nightly News. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Time. Of course, streamed and posted right here at prisonplanet.tv. Tomorrow night, we will have more on a InfoWars story that is in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette today. Journalist sues city over arrest at G20 summit. Rob Dew was falsely arrested a few years ago while at the G20, and he's teamed up with the head of Oath Keepers, Stuart Rhodes, who is a Yale constitutional graduate lawyer. And they are going after the tyrants there. So we're going to have a little update on that, striking back at the empire to defend the First Amendment, coming up tomorrow night with Rob Dew, who's in there running the show. I'm Alex Jones, signing off from the front lines of the InfoWar. Please spread the word about this important transmission. Thank you for your support.